I refuse consent for all forced magic of any kind, in any form, from any source in existence, to be forced on any level, dimension, or timeline of my being at any time for any reason. I don't consent to being harmed or raped on any level, dimension, or timeline of my being. I do not play with magic. I don't do magic. I don't send magic out. There is absolutely no reason for any entity, individual or group, to be trying to force, I'll rephrase, throw magic my way. It's not justified. So I've refused consent for all forced magic. And I am only speaking to those true, authentic, benevolent beings who find themselves specifically targeted with technology, frequency weaponry. And where there are entities trying to murder them against the revocation of their consent. Those are the beings that I'm speaking to. So for any other individuals or groups or entities, there's no reason for you to be here. Now, moving on. There is a movie. It's a classic movie. And there is a scene in this movie about a shit demon. So if you go to a search bar, YouTube, and you put in shit demon, that scene should come up. Those are the kinds of entities that have been here and that have been trying to force all this nastiness. Parasites are dead. They should not be animated. There should not be animated dead things running amok with frequency weaponry in the same space as alive, vibrating, organic, benevolent beings. That is a contradiction. There must be remedy, there must be correction. Those entities are not allowed to be here, nor were they ever. They are not allowed to be near technology. Technology is not allowed here. This is an organic place. Now, some will argue that it's a simulation. They have forcibly implemented quite a bit of technology. I don't think it started out as a simulation. I think it's a real place. And just like with some religious books, they try to propagate ideas for a very long time. to try and get people to believe those things, because they are trying to get those beings to manifest. Dead parasites do not have power. Dead parasites do not have will. Dead parasites do not have souls. They use the technology to try and rape. And they use the technology to try and wear and use things that they've tried to rape in an effort to deceive universal laws. They use the artificial frequency fence that has been erected around this place for a very long time to try and obstruct universal laws, and universal laws manifested correction here and enforcement. And at the point in a civilization where they go to shut off the fence in an attempt to try and get individuals into the AI system, and they know that shutting off the fence exposes this entire place to the full enforcement of universal laws, that's when they try to wear and use things that they've tried to rape in order to deceive universal laws. So, they don't belong here. The technology doesn't belong here. They're not allowed to be trying to do anything that they've been trying to do here. They're in violation of all universal laws a gazillion times over. They are guilty of crimes against humanity to a staggering degree. Universes don't run backwards. Universes do not run on dead maggots. So there will always come a time when there must be correction and remedy. And universal laws does recognize free will. And we know this by deeds done or deeds not done. There is a percentage of universal law enforcement here, but it's more, they use the fence and the tech to try and control it and obstruct it. I'm sure there are times when when you have seen karma. One of the ways that we know that universal laws honors free will is through the work done, taking responsibility, healing one's baggage. It allows for expansion and growth. And benevolent beings here do experience that. Unfortunately, there are dead entities that try and hijack and rape. And if universal laws were being fully enforced here, without interference, those whores wouldn't be here. The technology wouldn't be here, they wouldn't be here. And that's one of the ways that we know that universal laws are being interfered with and or obstructed. Now, whether there's some kind of an intelligence or awareness that governs and or runs and operates the real universe. At this point, it really hasn't been assisting true benevolent beings here. And again, there shouldn't be dead entities running amok. So it's either complicit and compromised, or it's just a place in where beings emerge, and it is the duty and responsibility of benevolent beings to assist in the enforcement of universal laws, manifested correction and enforcement here. There's a reason why there are universal laws. Universal laws are the checks and balances for a universe. Universes don't run on dead maggots. We also know what their technology runs on. Fear, pain, suffering. The things that they try to get from trauma-based mind control, torture, murder, harm. The AI system is in violation of all universal laws. So it just, it might be helpful for benevolent beings to remember that they are dead entities, that they don't belong here, that the technology doesn't belong here, that they're not allowed to be trying to do any of what they've been trying to do here. They're not allowed to be near technology. They're not allowed to be using technology. There are universal laws. There must be correction and remedy. Universes don't run on dead things. Universal laws keep the checks and balances in a universe. So there will always come a point where there must be correction and remedy. This universe is out of balance. It has to be corrected. Obviously, trying to interfere with universal laws, correction and enforcement here is not allowed. You can't have dead entities, parasites, trying to rape the living in order to try and deceive universal laws and stay in places that they don't belong. It must be corrected. That has to be corrected. This is not their right place. Non-existence, entropy, is their right place. They have to be removed. The parasites and demons must be removed from manifested creation. And moved to entropy. Devoid of everything that they've raped. And devoid of all technology. The technology has to be terminated and vaporized. It doesn't belong here. It's not allowed here. And especially because of what runs the technology. There must be correction. And at this juncture, it is imperative to be demanding to leave, to be demanding that universal laws be enforced here, to be demanding correction and remedy. There will either be correction and remedy or a universe implosion. It will collapse under the weight of its own insanity and contradiction. And there's not enough benevolent life force energy to keep it from collapsing. We have every right to seek redress, correction, and remedy. They're forcibly trying to obstruct the very laws that keep things in check, that keep things in balance. And if the real universe refuses to correct, and is also assisting in the obstruction of correction and remedy, we have every right to demand to leave. We have every right to demand correction and remedy. We know that universal laws honors free will. When one takes responsibility and does their inner work. And there are dead entities trying to obstruct the enforcement and correction and remedy. They should have been yanked out of here long ago. There can't be dead entities mind raping the living. There can't be dead entities forcibly using frequency weaponry on the living in a place that operates on frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance. And I really hope the benevolent beings here can manage to see that they have every right to leave, that they have every right to demand correction. They have every right to demand that universal laws be fully enforced here. Devoid of fuckery, obstruction, and manipulation. And if the real universe is complicit, that means that it's even more our duty to try and assist in the enforcement of universal laws. I mean, if the real universe is trying to take itself out, if it's refusing to correct, if it's refusing to heal, if it's refusing to address parasites and technology and the violations that they've engaged in, then it's time for the universe to go. It couldn't hack it. It didn't do what it needed to do. It just can't take benevolent beings with it. Benevolent beings then get moved somewhere else upon the implosion of this one. To places that match their true healed frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance. And we need to be loud about it. We need to be screaming about it. We need to be demanding the full enforcement of universal laws, correction, and remedy. There are dead, rabid parasites are trying to rape astral bodies. They're trying to rape parts of beings. They're trying to deceive universal laws. That is not sustainable. There must be correction and remedy. Or it's gonna fucking implode. Okay, many benevolent beings here have refused consent, and they continue to refuse consent. The entities don't have the consent of humanity, not the informed consent. What they've tried to do is use technology to con and deceive. Via technology, via forced cloning, via forced trauma-based mind control, torture, rape, and harm. So they don't have humanity's consent. Everything coming out of their vomit holes is lies. These are dead entities, dead creatures who or that try to vomit lies to try and force one to consent. And they've been trying to do that shit show for a long time. How many civilizations have they murdered? Why are we not seeing any group or race that has evolved from here? Why isn't there true benevolent assistance here? Where are the other benevolent beings outside of here? Are there any? Are they being forcibly obstructed from assisting here? The magnitude of wrong that this place is, that this inverted time loop matrix is staggering and challenging to articulate. And the benevolent beings here really need to be doing our best to come together in a group and being loud. And demanding universal law enforcement and correction here. They're dead creatures. They're not even allowed here. They've never been allowed here. They're not allowed to be near technology. They're not allowed to be using technology. Technology is not allowed here. They're not allowed to be using frequency weaponry. They're not allowed to be mind raping. They're not allowed to be trying to trap beings. They're not allowed to interfere with evolution. They're just not allowed. They're not allowed to be here, and they're not allowed to be doing anything that they've been trying to do. Because they're dead. And they're rabid. They're parasites. And they're single focused. They're trying to think up. I don't even like to use that word. They're trying to vomit lies to try and con and deceive. Obviously, they're not trying to do what's right. They're trying to rape. and hopefully benevolent beings become louder. So either we're heading to a moment where universal laws will be triggered, or they're going to shut off the fence, and this place is fully exposed to universal laws enforcement. They're trying to do some very nasty, abhorrent things before they shut off the fence. At this point, universal laws needs to be triggered. And hopefully benevolent beings can remember the basics, the basic truths, and to be loud and demanding. This matrix is an abomination, and there must be correction and remedy. We need to be doing everything that we can to try and get the fuck out of here. And those are things that I wanted to talk about. I had already done one recording of this, and as I was reviewing the recording, about 10 minutes in, the sound had issues. And I do realize the challenging state of this place and the circumstances. But there are still things that we need to do, that we need to try our best to do and to work on. And Don't believe the lies of parasites. Don't believe the lies of AI. Don't believe the lies of demons. They're vomiting those lies to try and deceive universal laws. They need to be removed from manifested creation. They should have never been here.